So welcome to this episode of The Rumble. My guest today is a lady who does all kinds of things. Seems to have gone through some horrific experiences in her life, which has made her very positive. A lot of other people might get depressed. You get in an accident, you get diesel pouring down your head, a car is smashed up. You might just say, let me just sit quietly at home, but no. Welcome to the show, Deepa.
Thanks, Madhav. Thanks for the
Deepa Aathreya, right?
Yes.
You are a full-on Madrasi?
Border, I would say.
Okay, that's because you were born on the other side, in Kerala.
Kerala.
But otherwise, you belong to...
Total Madrasi.
Okay. Part of the reason I asked you that is because the reason why Suresh and I started the show was we felt a lot of people in Madras do need to be talked about, or at least what they've done. But for some strange reason, we seem to be ignored by the national media. They don't want to know anything other than actors from here. So of all the other unsung heroes, somebody's got to talk about them. So we said, let's start Rumble.
Lovely.
So
thank you.
this is basically Madras's window.
Wow.
Or the world's window into Madras. So tell me, how did you get into this child... I can't call it child care. It's kind of...
Leadership for kids.
Yeah. Leadership for kids itself is a little odd. Do they need to be taught that?
Okay. Schools today do not prepare children for life. And there is a huge gap there. And that's how we arrived at this concept.
They don't teach grown-ups for life either.
Right. That's true. Leadership in its own sense is a very relative term. You can relate it differently and I can relate it differently. Yeah. To us, leadership is helping a child take charge of his or her own life at a very early age. And that's what we help them do. Okay. And we have some fantastic innovative programs to do that as well.
So when you say leadership, I always think of somebody marching up ahead, waving the flag, or telling people how to do things. Do you consciously teach them to be better than others or show people, or just you be yourself?
We get them to be the best of themselves. Give it your best. Whatever you are in, whatever you do, give it your best. And leadership, when we ask questions, if you get a bunch of kids and ask them who's a leader, they would say my class leader, or they would say probably these days Narendra Modi. So there is something that
kids recognize automatically as leadership.
Correct. Which means I need to march forward. As you rightly said, I need to be there. It's not about that, It's about, leadership is about giving it your best and inspiring others to be you. Or inspiring others in a positive manner, and that's what we get children to do.
And kids of that age, what age kids are you talking about?
3. We start as early as 3 and go on until 15. Yeah. And after 15,
they recognize the difference in what you're talking to them about at 3 and 4?
Yeah, at 3 and 4, we obviously do it with a lot of interactive stories and puppetry in a way that they can relate to. Things, we don't talk about, handling your challenges at age 3. But we talk about jump up and wake up, getting ready to school on time, healthy eating.
Cleaning the neighborhood, now that the PM is emphasizing cleanliness.
Cleaning your home, so your rooms first.
Yes.
It begins from
cleaning yourself.
Absolutely. So it starts from you and then it moves on.
So are these lesson-based kind of things you teach them, or is it as you go along, you just innovate, and or is there a fixed plan?
There is a fixed plan, but there is a lot of innovation also. So it's not like a school syllabus where we say, okay, this is what it is and this is what you need to take in class. No, because every child is different, every class is different by itself, and all our programs are totally hands-on.
And this is after school hours. Whatever you're doing is after school hours.
Yes.
So that itself must be telling the kids, hey, it's not nothing to do with school.
Right. It has nothing to do with school, although the name is School of Success, but it's a different school where you come and have fun.
So there's no pressure on that account?
Absolutely no pressure. In fact, in none of our classes we have any furniture. There's a lot of movement, and they don't call us as Miss or Ma'am.
It's also cheap.
It's cheap, it works really good for me.
Everybody sits on the floor.
Absolutely.
Great concept.
Absolutely. And therefore we don't charge much to the parents as well. So in a way we're happy about it.
A lot of outdoor activity?
A lot of outdoor activities.
So your places do have space?
We do have space, plus we do a lot of field trips. For example, if we're doing a healthy eating module, we're not going to put up a chart and say, this is the food pyramid, this is what fruits, vegetables, 5 types. No, we take them to a chef. They make rainbow colors of fruit and vegetables, they watch, and then they make a rainbow salad, eat and come back. So things like that. It's totally hands-on. Learning happens through, experience.
Do you ever test them for their knowledge after whatever you do? Or you just...
No, every 3 months there is a mapping that's done on the child per se, and we are in touch with the parents, because end of the day they just come here for a week, once a week, and then they go back for what happens at home, and therefore progressively we kind of map the.
So all these kids who go to schools where there are no playing facilities, no playground, no this, that, no periods for having fun, they should be the one heading out to you.
Very true.
And so what kind of monies do you charge for them? I mean, if I were to ask you.
For a 5-month program, we price it at 6,000 per child for 5 months.
So
this includes the month, and this includes your field trips and everything as well.
What about khana?
Khana nahi.
You give them something?
No, we get them to bring their snacks and come. The idea for not giving outside food is, some parents and children, children are allergic. It's better we don't get into that.
Yeah.
So.
And parents are quite ready to. I mean, I'm quite amazed that parents are okay with $1,000 outside of school every month. They're all right.
They're all right, because these days when you go to a movie to Satyam, for a family of 4, you end up paying 1,000 for any theatre. It's all the same, yeah. But so therefore 1,000 is nothing off late, it's nothing. And
no, they must be perceiving some true value in that. Otherwise, I don't see them paying even $500.
Absolutely,
so
that's
I guess
true.
That is your success. She's okay. This, Deepa's outfit is worth selling my kid
Thank
to.
you.
Otherwise, that's a key thing.
You make my life easy.
So when you come back, you find out what do they actually make them do. It's all very nice to say we have fun-based activities. Half the fun is beating up the other kid. You ask the kid, I'd like to punch the other one. That's fun for them. But do they do that? Don't know. So the activities, because it's always been a mystery to a lot of people. What goes on in these little schools? Where little cute little kids running around pushing each other or fighting to get park their butt on a small little chair. That's what we seem to be doing. I seem to be seeing.
Correct.
But is there a real, like a Montessori has got some kind of a curriculum of some sort?
Correct.
Do you have anything like that?
Yes, we do. What we do is every month we focus on one aspect of leadership. Okay. So assuming we're talking about communication here, there is it depends on the age group again. Now assuming we're talking about a bunch of kids who are 5 to 8 year olds.
Yeah.
So we do an interactive story with them where they become characters in the story and then they enact. After which we get them in front of the camera.
So you don't give them a script, you just tell them, okay, you go do the part.
Yes, absolutely. No, we start off a story and they need to come up, they give it an ending. Or probably we give an ending and ask them to come up with a story. So we had this cute little story where we just asked them a question, how did the moon get its color? So, and a bunch of 5-year-olds came up with this.
Ideas come for that.
Yes, and they came up with this thing of my mama was making, roti with a big ball of cheese and she threw it up and that became a moon. That's a very cute thing and that turned out into a beautiful play. Actually, we helped them script the play and then got it done. So these are kind of activities that we do. A lot of outdoor experiences as well. Now, if you're talking about communication, they not only create the story, they come and enact the story in front of the camera. And then we play it back to them.
So what languages all this will happen?
English, predominantly English.
That's something that always got me thinking. When we compare our kids with what happens on television, we watch all these cute American comedies, you find little fellas that size, really very confident in the way they talk. And I'm not talking about just actors.
Right.
Actors would be good. But even a kid on the street, especially if you watch America's Funniest Videos, those kids say the darndest things,
Correct.
And they're fluent and they have total command of the language, which looks far beyond their age. But we don't seem to be able to do that. What's the reason? Is it 2 languages that's confusing them?
Yeah, I think so. India is it's not only 2. There are several, especially when you're talking about Chennai, there's Hindi, there's Malayalam, there's
but just
Tamil.
For the kid himself, is his home language and the school language.
And the school language, and it's kind of confusing. That is one. 2 is, I think, the pressure that is on to learn English. I think language needs to be picked up.
Yeah.
And you need to have a flair for it. And then you learn along the way.
No, that's when you're consciously learning a language.
Correct.
But when it's part of your, communication skills that you need, language, then they should be just picking it up, making mistakes, but they'll get over it very quickly. But our kids are not. We're still having people 18, 19, 20, 25
Struggling.
year olds struggling to make a sentence.
Absolutely.
What is the reason for that?
I think it's, as you rightly said, the at home, if assuming you're talking Tamil, and then you're asked to go talk in English in schools. And most importantly, I think a human brain can achieve more than what we think. So there are people who know 13, 14 languages, and we know of such people like that. But what happens in school is that, again, there's a herd mentality. When you're taught English at a very primary level, there are 50 children in the class. Okay, forget 50. Okay, big schools have 50. Even small schools minimum have 30. 30:1 is the ratio. And where is the child learning? Today I was talking to a parent from the US, and she's now put her child in the school, and she says, my God, here strictly all schools have 1:5 ratio. And that's what you need to look at in terms of, especially the primary years of education. This child needs a lot of support. That's what I feel.
And that is forthcoming in your kind of schools, I know, because you specialize in that. But how is it when you look at the average school? Do the teachers, are they capable of teaching them these kind of things, or is it just hope and pray?
We're still hoping and praying. There are a few who are making a difference, no doubt about it, but 90% we are still hoping and praying. And there have been, yesterday my son got back from school, and he said his birthday just got over, so he was distributing chocolates. Okay. And he said, Ma, there was this autistic child in 5th standard. He is in 8th. So he said, Ma, I went to give him the chocolate, and my teacher said, don't. I don't understand why. And then she's talking to the other teacher, looking at this child, that this child should be thrown out of school. I don't know what they're doing. Please don't give him any chocolates. And she sends. So if teachers are going to do this, I think it's a crime. It's, it's totally a crime. And I get very upset listening to it.
And as for this language and communication skills, part of the reason is that we don't respect Indian English. Now, Indian English is a fact of life.
Absolutely.
We don't speak like Dutch people or the Brits or the Germans or the Americans for that matter. Right. And if you look at people like the people from the Caribbean or from Africa, they have their own accents, yo man and all that. But they seem to make that into a wonderful thing.
Absolutely.
But our Indian English embarrasses most of us. Do you think we should encourage the use of Indian English and say, yeah, that's the way we speak it? Go ahead.
Absolutely. I think each one of us is beautiful in our own ways, and because God makes no mistakes. And I always believe in that. We keep telling this to our children as well. And you just need to flaunt what you know, and that's about it.
I think now the latest television serials these Indian characters are starting to creep in.
Absolutely.
If you look at these sitcoms on television, there's now one Indian Raj, or there's one Babu,
correct. Something. Even in Hollywood movies, for that matter.
They're starting to creep in. That the Indian. So I just wish, maybe we need something called Indian English. But here we have Punjabi English, and we have Malayali English, and Tamil English, and maybe all that is creating more trouble. But the kids who come, how do you find their language skills at 3? Are they able to communicate to you?
Not really. I mean, in terms of initially, especially a lot of North Indian kids and down south kids from down south, we need to first connect with them. Therefore, we talk to them first in Tamil or their local language, and then get them to pick up the English language over a period of time.
And they mix in well. Do they have a problem in school when some of them don't speak as well, and the rest of them gang up against them? I'm sure it's happening.
Yeah, there is enough and more of it happening in school. But with us, again, we keep the numbers to 15 per session, and the culture is such a way that everybody bonds with the other person, and these are gaps that we fill in our programs.
Okay. So that's it. Last little segment. I got a trick question for her. We'll come back. So how do you use theatre? I keep hearing this from everybody. There was Karthik, the actor from Evam. He came the other day and he said, we use a lot of theatre in teaching. And that used to terrify me when I was in school. I couldn't think of how do I get up and stand in front of so many people and enact some goofy line or say something. But how do you use that? I mean, kids have no inhibitions.
Incidentally, Karthik happens to be a very good friend, and we did a theatre program with him as well. So let's start off on that note. But kids have inhibitions. There are some of us who want to act. Some of us don't want to act.
Yes.
Now, and they
I was
just
one
want
of those
to be
in school. I hated acting.
Absolutely. And maybe you want to be behind the scenes.
I just want to get out of that scene. Forget about behind the scene.
So what we do is we see there are several aspects to theatre. There is storyboard develop. First you develop a story, then you do the scripting, then you do the stage direction, and then you do the acting. So there are several aspects to it. And maybe if you're not interested in any of these, there's props. And therefore, you're very wonderful at you're a very artistic person. You would love to create props.
Or maybe you'd like to be a prop. Like I'm the crowd scene. They can stand next to a punch-up. No, but I don't understand. How does play? I mean, does acting improve any skill? What is it improving actually? Is it your spoken skills, or again, as you said, get over your fear? Is that what it is?
See, leadership through theatre. Our programs, basically involve a lot of improvement, not only in communication and spoken English or overcoming shyness and fear. There are several aspects to it. One, your team building. You're working together as a team and achieving one. So you learn to work together as a team. You learn to communicate with clarity. You learn to overcome your shyness and fear. There's budgeting also involved, because when you put up a play, we look at finances. So it's financial discipline.
The kids get involved in all this?
They get involved in all this. That's why we call it leadership through theatre and not just theatre. Okay. And there are several aspects to it. So not all of them are willing to come forward and act, but there are a few who love to act. End of the day, I feel children love stories. All of us love story. Everything is through storytelling.
That's the best form of conveying an idea.
Absolutely. And when they create their own stories and then put up a play, it's amazing.
So how is it that we still have no new stories for kids? We're still trundling along with Goldilocks and all the rest.
That's very sad. I would propose, I would keep telling my parents as well, that please close the book and come up with your own story, and ask your child to come up with their own stories, and there will be some fantastic stories coming up.
Maybe you should start having a set of books where you can give little links on different pages and tell them to fill it up, connect this with that and that and that, and make it into a total story. I mean,
that's lovely.
Some new ideas to sell
to
kids.
Cool. I'm going to call you next for some more ideas. But that's a good one. In fact, we have an activity where we give them random images and pictures and say connect and form a story all by yourself. And this kind of improves their creativity.
And parents, do they get involved in this actually, or they just say, hey Deepa, just take care of them for 2.5 hours, get them out of my hair? Is that how it is, or do they actually come?
There are a few who say that, and generally they are involved. Off late they are involved. The point is sometimes they're too involved, and that's what is the trend right now, because luckily I would say my mom was just a 10th standard, I don't know, pass or fail. So she didn't know what I was doing in school. But today
leave it to the teachers.
Absolutely. Leave it to her, basically. I was not a person who would listen to teachers anyway, so she just left it to me, and I think I'm what I am because of that, thanks to her. But today we have a lot of graduate, postgraduate moms sitting at home and therefore sitting on their kids' heads.
Who think they can contribute to the teaching, learning process.
And they're actually curbing big time, because no, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, and the child is just not allowed to think, and the child is suffocating under pressure.
Or they may be using their experiences to shove things on the kids
literally
too early.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them are into schools these days. I mean, I had somebody come up and tell me they call them IT wives. Senior IT people whose wives are at one point of time highly educated, probably dropped out of a career to look after kids or something like that. But they are all qualified, and now they find they are unemployable in the routine areas. And schools are always looking for people. So they enter schools with no degrees.
Absolutely.
But they have been HR specialists, or somebody who's something else. So they are now coming into the field.
And that's pathetic, seriously, because to me, in our, now we're hearing of child sex abuse, and therefore everybody is now very conscious about recruiting new people. But even 12 years back when we started, our recruitment process is like this. The faculty needs to be a mom or a dad, a parent, basically. Then we talk to the child for half an hour, and we know the quality of parenting. And therefore, when you know the quality of parenting, and when you talk to the child is not going to lie. And therefore, we kind of know, this parent will be in a position to shape up futures, because otherwise it's crazy.
So are these all volunteers who come to your school, who are doing work, teaching?
They're passionate about kids. They're passionate about making a difference.
So you check them out first to see whether...
We check the children out first to see how they are, and what if you have a 5-year-old child, 6-year-old child, we talk to the child for a while. And then we know how you're parenting. And this is what we want. We want extended parents here who will unconditionally love the children. Children are starving for love. Children are starving for hugs these days. Seriously, so much of pressure everywhere. In school, they don't get it.
And parents are non-demanding? They don't say, hey, you're not doing well, marks are low. But I guess that's not what you're doing.
That's not what we do.
So that's a big burden off your head.
Absolutely. And I never wanted to do that as well. So I would run away if I start off a tuition center.
So by mistake, if I were to say that, Deepa, you struggled, you fell into the right slot for you where you did not have to go and produce marks for those kids you're teaching, and they're all happy just when they come home and narrate a story.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Madhav. Same here.
I hope every kid out there who doesn't have a good time at home ends up at School of Success, right?
Thank you. Yes, it is.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Bye-bye.